All right. Hello, everybody. First off, just want to say thank you to Mick Zaloon at Ronsich. Hope I'm saying that right. But thank you for commenting on my original video to show I had made a small mistake in my final units for my answer. So we're just going to redo this and show the correct way to convert with cubic volume, and I'll make sure I get my units right this time. So we're asked these two questions. First, we're asked convert 7 kilometers cubed into meters cubed. And then down here, we're asked the same question, just with different notation. So it says 400 million cubic millimeters to cubic decameters. So when you see it written like this, just be aware that this means the same thing as this would be millimeters cubed, and this would be decameters cubed. So that's what this wording means if you've never really seen that before. But okay, let's just start with our first question. And the first part is kilometers cubed to meters cubed. So, well, first off, let's change these all to cubed because now we're working with volume. We're not working with distance, we're working with cubic volume. And that's really important because we have to remind ourselves that every step we take is actually going to be multiplying or dividing by 1,000. Because if I look here, there's 1,000 hectometers cubed in 1 kilometer cubed. And there's 1,000 decameters cubed in a hectometer cubed. So we have to keep that in mind that we're going to be using 1,000 for each step rather than just 10 or 100. Okay, I'm going from kilometers cubed. I go down one step to hectometers cubed, one step to decameters cubed, one step to meters cubed, because it literally tells me we're going from kilometers cubed to meters cubed. And for each step, I'm going to multiply by 1,000 once, multiply by 1,000 twice, and multiply by 1,000 a third time. So for A, we have 7 kilometers cubed. And for each step, we just said multiply by 1,000 once, times 1,000 again, and times 1,000 again. So just really want to emphasize when we multiply by 1,000 the first time, that brought me into hectometers cubed. Then multiplying by 1,000 again brought me to decameters cubed. And then multiplying by 1,000 again brings us to meters cubed. And a second idea, well, if I multiply by 1,000 once, twice, three times, that's the same as multiplying by a billion. So you can do it. Just multiply by 3 steps at a time, or you can do it all at once. Either way, you should get the answer that this is 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7 billion. We're now in meters cubed. So this would be your answer. That 7 kilometers cubed is 7 billion meters cubed. And as a bonus idea, just put this up here. So this is the answer. We're done. But if you want to show off a bit, if you know something called scientific notation, you can maybe show off to your teacher and say, well, wait a minute, this is the same as 7 times 10 to the 9 meters cubed. If you've never seen scientific notation before, or this last step is confusing, ignore it. You've got your final answer right here. So you don't have to worry about scientific notation, but if you know it, cool, you can show off a little bit. All right, let's move on to our next example. So in B, we're going from, like we said, 400 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 400 million millimeters cubed. And we're trying to convert it into decameters cubed. So over here, I'm going, looks like 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps. Something else I'm going to point out, notice it is decameters. It's really easy. Decameters and decimeters look very similar. So just pay attention that it did say decameters so you don't lose some points for accidentally just reading the wrong unit. But okay, now because we're going from a smaller unit to a large unit, I'm going to divide by 1,000 for each step. So it looks like I'm dividing by 1,000 once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So we're literally going to divide by 1,000. I know maybe this is a little bit tedious, but for our first examples, I think it's really good to make sure we understand every single step. And kind of weird, and I would say if you're really comfortable with your topics, then you don't have to do this next step. You can literally just divide by 1,000 once. That gets you into centimeters cubed. Divide by 1,000 again to get decimeters cubed. Divide by 1,000 again to get meters cubed, and then divide by 1,000 one more times to get decameters cubed. But if you want to, again, kind of show off how much you know, you could say this is the same as 400 million divided by, that would be, I believe, a trillion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that means I'm going to have to move my decimal place 12 times to the left because I'm dividing by this big 1 trillion. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. My decimal point is now going to be here. So that gives us the final answer of 0.0004. And I forgot my equal sign, so we should kind of show what's happening here. And now my units are decameters cubed. So here you go, same as before. Here is our final answer. 400 million millimeters cubed is the same as 0.0004 decameters cubed. And bonus idea, if you really want to show off your scientific notation skills, this would be 4 times 10 to the negative 1, 2, 3 to the negative 4 decameters cubed. If this idea is new or confusing to us, don't worry about it. You can learn about this at some point later on. But for now, we know here are our final answers. Thank you again to Mick for pointing out that small mistake in my first video, and hopefully this one is correct.